Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Saturday Chat. I'm joined with Mike Carney. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, so we're going to talk about Open Cup results so far this past weekend, and it's been a hell of a weekend. Mike, did you enjoy the Open Cup action so far?
I did. Wednesday night was just a beautiful night to be in Indianapolis and outdoors, and it was a great game between Louisville City and Indy 11. That's the game I attended. So yeah, it was. Yes, I enjoyed the U.S. Open Cup action.
Okay, so let's start talking about your Indy 11, and this result actually helped the Cosmos. So your draw with the Jacksonville Armada.
Yeah. So last weekend, Indy 11 went on the road. Struggled a little bit at times. Did not play well at all in the first half, but got it together in the second half. I assume from a motivational talk by Coach Hankinson, because the team played tremendous second half, and they were really knocking on the door to go ahead 2-1. Just couldn't get that second goal, and ended up coming away with a 1-1 draw, unfortunately. Of course, Corey Miller was in the back line as a center back in replace of Greg Janicki, who had a facial fracture from the week before. Level Palmer was out with a leg injury, probably be out the rest of the spring season. So Marco Franco had to step in there. So really a makeshift back line. Actually did, I thought, tremendous against Jacksonville. So yeah, it was unfortunate because right there, if Indy 11 would have won that game, I think they would have went on to win the spring season. At least that was what I was predicting. But unfortunately, they couldn't. Still have a chance though tonight. So we'll see what happens.
I remember you said, I think before this match, not on the show, but off the air, you said that, oh, we have an easy schedule coming up, right? You're like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
it's getting easy, and we're going to win the spring. And I was like, I was hoping, like, oh, hopefully something goes wrong and we have a chance to win the spring, and it happened.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, Indy 11 are playing Jacksonville, which was second to the bottom of the table, and then tonight they play Miami, which is right there at the bottom of the table as well. So, in terms of everybody else, Indy 11 has a much easier schedule. With a few remaining games to go, they just couldn't get a win against Jacksonville.
And the Cosmos 1-0 over Radio OKC. 3 red cards, Mike. 3 red cards to Radio OKC. That's a major blow because you're out. You're going to be missing your 3 important players. It's Michelle, Samaras, and Boateng.
Yeah. Where do we start with that one? I think the new fans to the NASL will probably be shocked by it. I think those who are the old hat of the NASL and know the league really well from past seasons know this is a typical Alan Marcina team. Whether other people like to believe it or not, it is. Had these incidents in San Antonio at times, so no surprise there. It hurts, kills all the momentum that they had for the remaining 2 games of the season. But yeah, that was unfortunate.
Do you ever see the team actually coming together and not fouling so much, not getting cards a lot? Like,
Oh,
is
I
that
do. Yeah.
possible?
Oh, absolutely, it is. Absolutely. You just got to keep your head on straight during the games. Oh, absolutely. I mean, this team honestly has the potential to win the league
Yeah.
in the fall. I mean, that's how good they are. I mean, it doesn't matter who they play. You're going to get the best out of them, whether that's Michelle taking free kicks and putting them in the back of the net, or Boateng just distributing the ball to the entire team. Billy Forbes up top. I mean, they have the potential to win the league. They really do. It's just a matter of putting their head down and focusing on themselves and not getting distracted.
Yeah, on paper, before the season started, I thought they were going to go on and maybe win the spring, maybe win
Yeah.
the whole title. But so far, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Maybe they make a surprise, they buy different players, and potentially take maybe the 4th slot in the fall
Yeah.
season. Miami
Who knows?
FC got victory, their first victory in club history. Congrats, Miami FC. They beat FC Edmonton, second place FC Edmonton too. And all these results, and I don't want to sound this way, but they all helped the Cosmos this past weekend
Yeah, I
to,
did.
to position ourselves to be like, okay, we just have to win next week and we can win the spring season. So thank you, Miami. Thanks, Jacksonville, for helping Indy 11 drop 3 points. So are you
Yeah.
excited for Miami FC getting their first 3 points of the season?
Well, it was the first time that Richie Ryan and Michael Lahoud played together.
Yeah.
And they had, I think, almost close to 100 touches each, and they had almost 100 passes between them. I mean, they were just phenomenal during that game, and even against the Wilmington Hammerheads in U.S. Open Cup, just a couple of days later, they just couldn't get the same result. So those two signings right there, even though it cost them $1 million to sign those two players, have helped them out tremendously.
It was worth all the money, really. It really was.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you that maybe other clubs should spend serious dollars to get proven talent as well within the league.
Right.
So the last game that we were going to review is the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They beat Minnesota United by the score of 2-0. This was a massive result as well because I think I saw that Minnesota United was not starting some of their key players as well, right?
Right, that's absolutely correct. Huge result for Tampa Bay to be able to go on the road and pick up a big win. I mean, that's huge. You just look at it now, and it's like, man, if they were able to get that result, and a couple other teams like FC Edmonton and Indy 11 were able to pick up 3 points, you know, this could have been a 3 or 4-way tie for first place, and not just basically Miami FC wrapping things up, or I'm sorry, New York Cosmos wrapping things up with a win and with 2 games left.
And in this match, we saw Joe Cole being Joe Cole. He scored his first goal with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, if I'm correct. Also, Also, he had an assist. So, what a great performance by Joe Cole, and hopefully, we see this improving each week.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's still interesting to see him play as an attacking player.
Yeah,
because he played as an outside back for so long, whether that be at Liverpool or when he could play at Chelsea or West Ham. So it's very different to see him in the attack. You almost get lost because you're looking at their back line, wondering where Joe Cole is, or at least I do, and then it's like, oh wait, he's their attacking mid. But he's really starting to get things clicking for them, especially in their 4-2-3-1. Being that focal point as that number 10 has helped them out tremendously.
Yeah, so congrats, Joe Cole. And then we're going to move on to some Open Cup chat. It was a very exciting week. And all the NASL fans, we want to see NASL beat the USL, especially in this round, the 4th round. Right? Is the 4th round or 3rd round? I forgot.
It's the 3rd round, I believe.
Okay, 3rd round. My apologies, guys. So the 3rd round of the U.S. Open Cup. And it happened besides Miami FC slipping up and Rayo OKC losing in extra time. But that was a hell of an OKC derby. Whatever they're going to call it down there.
Right.
It's something special. Imagine the energy coming into the league and playing on a weekly basis with Rayo OKC. That would be crazy. That would be massive.
That would be. And you look at it, and MLS teams, USL teams, NASL teams, they're so evenly matched. Any team can beat anybody on any given week. They really can. I mean, Indy 11 have a good chance coming up here against the Chicago Fire in the next couple of weeks to beat them at Toyota Park. I mean, because teams are so competitive, evenly competitive with one another. I mean, it's tremendous. So any team can beat anyone on any given night. Last year it was the USL's turn. This year it was the NASL getting the better results. So I could see that flipping back and forth for years to come.
Yeah, so running through the results, Fort Lauderdale played a match at 11 a.m., guys. 11 a.m. Well, it actually made sense. So if you're thinking about this and you're like, 11 a.m., that sucks. But it made sense because they couldn't play in their home stadium because they were hosting a friendly, not the Strikers, the stadium was hosting an international friendly. I don't know who was playing there. And so they had to play at a local high school. But what was cool about what they did was that they care about their fan experience. So I think tickets were free, I believe, for the match. And they provided free food as well. So, I mean, if you were able to go to this match at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, you actually experienced something special as well. So they drew 1-1, but then they went into extra time, into PKs, Strikers won. Go Strikers. And then Jacksonville, they played at Charleston Battery. They won a scoreline of 2-1. New York Cosmos played a PDL side, not NPSL, PDL, because there are no local USL squads. We won 2-0, of course, but the Jersey Express were actually putting pressure on my New York Cosmos. So that was pretty shocking. But I wanted to see some type of competitiveness within this match, because when you play a PDL side, it's like, well, we can crush them like 6-0. But the Cosmos threw a rotated squad out there, which was really expected, and we still got the job done, which was great. And then
Right.
Carolina beat Charlotte Independence 5-0, and this all took place in extra time, which was pretty shocking as well.
Yeah.
So Jason is pretty happy about this result right here. And Tampa Bay beat FC Cincinnati, the team in the USL that people might know, who draws a lot of people. Tampa Bay won by 1-0. And Indy 11, guys. Indy 11 prevail 2-1 against Louisville FC. Right, Mike?
Yeah, that's right. They came from behind and were down 1-0 about 20 minutes into the game. Louisville actually played really well. Louisville came out in a 4-2-3-1, which put them in a numbers up situation against Indy 11's 4-4-2 in the midfield. Caused a lot of problems for them, especially when they advanced into the final third. Indy 11 had a lot of communication issues. But I mean, to be fair though, they did have their backup goalkeeper Keith Cardona. Indy 11 had Keith Cardona in making his first appearance of the year. Nemanja Vukovic and Corey Miller were the center backs for the game. So a lot of different pieces all moved around, and then Hankinson switched it to match Louisville in a 4-2-3-1 and pushed Nemanja Vukovic into the midfield and dropped Daniel Keller back into the back line with Neil Schaefer, Miller, and Franco. And the team just took off, and were able to get 2 goals, 2 pretty good goals too as well. But yeah, it was just a great night, beautiful night, great weather. Although there was only 2,000 fans that came out.
Wow.
Those were the really diehard fans. The Brickyard Battalion was extremely loud. In Louisville, the Coopers, they brought their supporters group, and they were in a good form as well. I mean, they were just as loud over in the East End, where I sit. They were really loud too. So yeah, it was just a great night for soccer in Indianapolis, and Indy 11 prevailed, as you said, 2-1, and move on to face the Chicago Fire, which well, you talk about a Twitter war or a social media war. Oh, it's just started. So who knows how that's going to happen, or what's going to happen as the game inches closer to kickoff, and then especially if Indy 11 wins. I mean, I can't imagine what's going to happen in social media.
When you look at the Open Cup, right, and you think my club has a chance. You just lost Mike here. We'll work on getting him back. But we talk about how each team has a chance. Each team Mike, you back?
Yep, I'm back.
Yes, we don't know what happened. We're having technical difficulties live here on Saturday, chat. But I was saying how we always think about our club has a chance. Like I talked about on my podcast, I was like, I really feel that this year is the Cosmos' year to win the Open Cup. But why shouldn't we believe that, even if you support Miami FC? But I was looking of how many games we actually have left. We have 5 games. So if we win 5 more games, which if you think about it, the Cosmos coach, Giovanni Savarese, just takes every game as a final. And if you look at it that way, I really think that we have a chance to actually make it to the round of 16 if possible. We just have to get past, not this upcoming round, but we have to beat NYCFC. And if we get past the next round, I think we have a big chance because we never got past that round before. So right now, a lot of clubs are hoping, and a lot of fans are saying like, okay, this year is our year, we can do it. And I think everyone really could do it if you just put your head to get it. So Miami FC lost. Yes, they lost their Open Cup match 2-1 against the Wilmington Hammerheads. It looked like they really played their heart out in this one. But what's the sad part about Miami FC is that they pay a lot of money for talent, and they just work so hard to try to get the result, and they just don't get it. So I don't really know where it's falling short. Mike, do you have an answer?
if you look at the stats, because I was looking around the league, and some of the NASL teams use their Opta stats for those games, and Michael Howard and Richie Ryan had 197 touches combined in that match. They completed 132 of 162 passes, which is just unheard of. And they recovered the ball 14 different times. I mean, those stats are just unheard of, period. And yet they still lost. And if you look at the Opta stats on the chalkboard, all their possession was kept in the mid to final third. Really, their back line of Miami didn't do a whole lot in terms of passing and keeping possession. It was all kept in the final mid to final third with all the attacking midfielders and forwards of Miami FC. So it was just an odd way to you know, you have all these stats going in your favor and yet you still lose. So I don't know how to explain that one. I really don't. When you think of those stats and how ridiculous they are, and yet they still lose, I don't know what happened.
Moving on, Minnesota United beat St. Louis 2-0. The OKC Derby, if you will, guys. Ray OKC lost. Epic match, extra time. It was a crazy match. I enjoyed it. I wish I was there. No, I don't wish I was there.
No, I was there as well. I mean, that game was just it was awesome to watch on TV because I came home and they were still playing, so I turned it on my computer. I mean, what a match. It was back and forth, battles all over the place, red cards. I mean, it was just nuts. And then to have, I know myself and a lot of people here in Indianapolis are actually happy about the result because Kyle Hyland, who played for IUPUI, where Indy 11 plays at that university, and he also played for Indy 11. I mean, former player scores the game winner, so we were all happy for him here in Indianapolis, a local kid getting the job done for OKC Energy. And then Wojciech Vucek played tremendously too for the OKC Energy. He's on loan from Indy 11, so it was so fun to watch. It really was. And what an entertainment value you got out of that game. The best part, I think, about the whole game, though, was when Michel got the red card. He was walking off the field, and there was a little kid at the gate still asking for his autograph. I thought that was just like the best moment of the entire night, no matter what happened. He's walking off the field. You can tell he's frustrated, and his head's just not right. It's not where it should be, and yet a little kid comes up and asks for an autograph at the end. I thought that was awesome.
Well, did he give the autograph, or did he just like shove the book out of like the kid's face and stuff?
I didn't see that part. I just saw him open the gate and walk past as the kid was trying to hand it to him. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know if Porter could confirm this or deny this, but from my vantage point on the stream, it sounded like the Energy fans were a bit louder than Ray OKC fans. I don't know how the setup is at Miller Stadium, but I don't know if you felt the same way, Mike.
I don't know. I really couldn't tell.
It was really loud.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, it was loud, but I couldn't really tell who was cheering or what. It did seem at times that the OKC Energy were a little louder. Yes, I would agree with that.
And Ottawa Fury FC, they beat Vancouver Whitecaps MLS side 2-0 in the Amway Canadian Championship. There were scenes at the Ottawa Fury match. They were going mad. Yeah. They were going crazy. They just couldn't believe that they won or they beat the Vancouver Whitecaps in the first leg of the, not Amway, the Voyageurs Cup. They don't say the sponsor. I don't know why. Yeah. My apologies, Canadian people. So it was a great result. Teo was going crazy as well. He couldn't believe it. I don't think he can still believe it till this day.
Right. Well, they had 9,000 people there for the game, so I think that's the most, if not one of the biggest crowds that they've had for Ottawa Fury game. Johnny Steele's first goal was just a rocket towards the left side of the 18. I mean, he put everything behind that one, put it past the Whitecaps goalkeeper. I mean, they just played tremendous. It was their night to win it, and they did it. Now they have to go on the road for one more match in Vancouver, which travel is not always the best. It's like basically essentially traveling from, I'd say, I don't know, maybe Pennsylvania or Ohio all the way out to California to play a match. So I mean, it's a long travel. But yeah, so they have a good chance of advancing farther than they've ever advanced in the history of their club. I'm not quite sure if they advance and move past Vancouver, who they would play.
I think they
But
play the
this,
winner of Toronto and Montreal.
yeah, Montreal, which Montreal is really good
Yeah.
if they do advance and are able to play them. I mean, they are stacked. Toronto, I think, are struggling at times, so they would have an excellent chance of beating Toronto. I'm not quite sure if they can pull it out against Montreal, but who knows? It's the Voyageurs Cup. Anything can happen.
Yeah, so Teo, he supports the Impact as well. So if they play each other, I would think he has to support the Fury. I'm not pretty sure.
Definitely he would support Fury 100%.
Yeah, so I think the Fury go to Vancouver just to defend, try to get that last
Right.
goal, and just sit back and just defend. I don't know. I think that's the only way that they can beat the
Yeah.
Whitecaps, especially at
Well,
their home.
that's not Paul Dalglish's style at all.
Yeah, he wants to attack. He wants to
He
score
wants to
goals.
attack. So, I mean, they can essentially still lose the match in Vancouver and still advance. So, either way, as if they get a couple goals, 1 or 2 goals against the Whitecaps, I mean, it could be over for Vancouver.
So moving on to our upcoming matches this weekend. So exciting times. Cosmos can win this spring if they win. Things could go wrong if they lose. Mike, can you run us through the scenarios before we get into the match predictions?
Yeah. So here's the scenarios. Basically, if the Cosmos win, it's over.
Yes.
Nobody can really catch them. If the Cosmos lose and Indy 11 takes the max points, 6 points out of the next 2 games, Indy 11 is going to win the spring season because the New York Cosmos have basically taking their bye week in the final week of the season. If Indy 11 takes 4 points out of the next 2 matches and Cosmos draw, then it would come down to basically goal differential, and then hope that the other teams who are in contention, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa Bay, FC Edmonton, Minnesota, don't catch up to Indy 11 and pass them, then Indy 11 would win. And then if they finish ahead on goal differential as well. If they take 4 points and then finish ahead on goal differential, which is tough because New York Cosmos have +8 on their goal differential. Indy 11 is +4, so they would have to score at least 4 goals, and maybe one more to help seal that goal differential. So if Fort Lauderdale, or I'm sorry, if New York Cosmos draw or lose and then collect their 4 points and then beat them on goal differential, Indy 11 would win the league. If it comes to that scenario, though, I just don't see anybody leaping, or Indy 11 leaping New York Cosmos on goal differential. I still see New York Cosmos winning the league on that. So it would have to come down to basically, if anybody wants a chance to win this league besides New York Cosmos, it would have to come down to the Cosmos losing in Fort Lauderdale against a very hot Strikers team, and then Indy 11 taking max points the next 2 games.
If the Cosmos do lose tonight, I think everything it would be so crazy in Cosmos country. Everyone would be so down on the team and all that. That's what's the problem I think with the Cosmos supporters, and especially with me as well, is that like when we lost those 2 matches in Minnesota, I thought there's no coming back from this. We're gonna potentially win some. I mean, lose some more matches, maybe drop points in the table, go down, maybe last place. That was my thought. I didn't want it to happen, but I thought that was going to happen. But then we came back and started winning and winning and winning. People would say that shows that the league is so easy, but it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
Really hard. The Cosmos had to work for the spring championship if they do win tonight.
Anybody can be anybody on any given night in the NASL. No matter if you're Miami or Jacksonville at the bottom of the table, or Indy 11 or New York Cosmos at the top of the table. This league is so competitive and so evenly matched. Anybody can win. So just because New York Cosmos lost a couple games and then fought their way back shows how tough the Cosmos really are, or any team for that matter. I mean, look at Fort Lauderdale. They were struggling 4 games into the season, and then all of a sudden they beat Carolina, and they have just been on a surge to get to the top, and are carrying a lot of momentum heading into these final 2 weeks. And hopefully we'll start on the right note to start out the fall season. Hope you'd think that if you're a Strikers supporter, you'd hope that anyhow. So I mean, yeah, this league results can go any way. You have no idea which way. You try and predict and maybe look at it logically, but even then, it doesn't always come out that way.
So we're in the part of the show where it's like a quick fire round. Mike, you give me your score predictions for the upcoming match. Let's start with Fort Lauderdale and NY, not NYCFC, New York Cosmos.
Well, basically the top, I think, 3 or 4 teams that have traveled to Florida have not come away with a win.
Wow.
So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here.
And the funniest part, and Kartik brought this up, I did not know about this. The Strikers have not beaten the Cosmos ever in the modern era. So, and he said the last time that they did win, he was a ball boy back in the day. So it just goes to show you how much the Strikers can't beat us. But it could happen tonight, and we can experience history, Mike. We could say we predicted this, or no, I didn't predict it. Maybe you did.
Yeah, I don't know. Even though the Strikers struggle to score goals against the Cosmos, it's just they're in Fort Lauderdale. Strikers are hot. The momentum's heading their direction. Really, nobody is able to collect a win in Florida this year. So I see it going as a 1-1 draw.
And even if that does happen, our boys in Indy have to help us out. And you guys can't score that many goals, so I think we will still win the spring. Well, I don't know. It can go either way. Yeah.
Yep.
So Carolina Jacks, this on beIN Sports predictions.
I think after their big win in U.S. Open Cup, I think Carolina is going to take this game easily 2-0.
And we have Tampa Bay against Ottawa.
Yeah, so they're on the road. Ottawa is. They're coming off a huge week, beating Vancouver 2-0. I just think Tampa Bay is going to do it with the travel and with the big win that Ottawa had. I think Tampa Bay is going to pull this one out 1-0.
Do you think we see some squad rotation within the squad for Ottawa potentially?
Oh, big time, absolutely, because they're all coming off. I mean, you think about it, anytime an NASL team plays an MLS team, whatever competition it is, they put their best players out there. They put their best team out there. So, yeah, I could see 1 or 2 scratches from this game for Ottawa and some adjustment on the field as to who plays what position.
And your boys taking on Miami FC. What are your thoughts? Do you think you can beat Miami FC? They want a match. They're going to go – they want to win the league, but they're eliminated, but they want to go far.
Indy 11 has to do 2 things against Miami. One, just focus on their game. When you're at the top of the league and you're trying to win the league, you always look at and see where the chips have fallen in your favor, but you can't do that. In case of Indy 11, as soon as they take the field for warm-ups against Miami FC, it's all about Indy 11 and nobody else. They can't worry about anything else and what they can't control. They can only worry about what they can control. In terms of the game, if they stop Michael Lahoud and Richie Ryan, if they shut them down, Indy 11 going to win this game easily. If they can't and they struggle to do that, whether that means that if they're pressuring them and it makes their 4-4-2 unbalanced, then they're going to have to find other ways to pull out the win. Even if they do pressure, even if they don't pressure Lahoud and Ryan and they're able to take away their outlets, I think that can still be just as effective. But I think all the focus should be on those 2 guys, because if they can't distribute the ball, then that means they have to drop the ball back to an already shaky back line of Miami, who has been prone to make 1 or 2 mistakes this year, which could lead to Indy 11 goals. So if that distribution is not there for Miami and Dario Savitinic can't get the ball, I predict that Indy 11 wins 3-2.
And the last match of the weekend, Rayo OKC against Minnesota United.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how many people or how many players are going to be out for Rayo with suspension, so I'm going to say Minnesota comes in and wins this game. I'll say 3-0.
Wow. I think Rayo OKC might give some type of competition to Minnesota United. There's only 3 players out, so you have your striker Samaras, who is reportedly being shipped around. I don't know where.
Yeah.
Hopefully not to the Cosmos. We don't need him. Maybe to Indy 11, right? I would like to
Uh,
see Samaras.
I don't know if they can afford him, and 2, um,
But how much do you
they
think his wage bill is? He's playing in the NASL. Like, it's
well,
not like $300,000 a week. You know what I mean?
I bet it's up there. I bet we'd all
You
be
think so?
shocked. Oh, absolutely. Indy 11, to answer your question, I don't think can afford them, and 2, they have the 2 best strikers in the league, or at least they've been playing like the 2 best
Yes.
strikers in the league, and Ayman Zayed and Justin Braun, especially Justin Braun. He's been playing out of his mind these last few weeks.
My non-Cosmos player that I like is Justin Braun.
Yeah.
He scores goals, guys, and he's so underrated. No one even like talks about him, and that's the funniest part. Is Indy 11 are playing so well, and no one even like cares about them. Am I right? Like, no one's actually like talking about Indy 11 in that sense.
I don't know about that. I just know that Justin Braun has just been beast mode these past few weeks. Came over from Sacramento. He's a physical presence up top. Loves to win the ball in the air. Loves to go into duels. Is very good at being in one-on-one situations. Also loves to, when they play the ball over the top, he's really good at going and chasing down those balls over the top, and then able to distribute those passes wherever they need to be, whether it's in the air, in the cross, on the ground, or what have you. But he's just so good in front of goal. He's really good. In terms of attention, I think Indy 11 is getting a lot more attention than what they have in the past from the league. They've really turned some heads this year, especially with how well they've done. Although their bread and butter is draws. They've been able to come away with some huge wins this year, whether that be in U.S. Open Cup play or against in the league against Minnesota,
Against the Cosmos.
Rayo OKC, and the New York Cosmos. When there's a big game, Indy 11 comes to play. That's for sure.
Yeah. Don't beat my Cosmos, please. 11, it just hurts so much, and it still hurts. But, I mean, I think if we win this spring, I think it just all goes away. I saw a tweet out there, right? And it says, Akin Fenwa, he plays for AFC Wimbledon. Have you ever heard of him before? He's a striker.
Yes,
Big guy. Yeah. So some guy was like, bring this guy to the NASL. We need him in this league. And the funniest part is that he can leave on a free transfer this transfer market in the summer. Do you think there would be a real player for this team? Like, do you think a team would actually want him?
Oh, if he comes to NASL, I don't know. He'd have to first get through John Green and Fault in Our Stars, who basically sponsors Wimbledon and does everything for them. He'd have to get past him first before he's allowed to go to the NASL or any league of that matter.
Maybe that means he goes to Indy 11 and he lives with John Green potentially.
That could be. Although I think the odds of that are about 1,000,000 to 1.
Okay.
That's a possibility. You just never know. But I don't think John Green has any financial investment with Indy 11. But you never know. His presence though with Wimbledon, I mean, he's just a massive striker up top.
Yeah.
He's huge. I think he could be even bigger than Lukaku in the Premier League. I mean, that's just how big he is. But yeah, he can score some goals. He's been known to score some goals for Wimbledon. Coming to this league, I don't know. I think he would play a big role in their promotion next year. So I highly doubt he comes to the NASL or goes to any team or any league for that matter.
But let's give some insight to our viewers here. He's in his mid-30s, and they just
Right.
got promoted to League One, if I'm correct.
Right.
So that's the third tier in English soccer, football, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And I don't think there's ever going to be a day that he moves up and say plays for Liverpool, right?
Right.
So don't you think, let me go out there and go to a different league, try a different country, or you think that's later on in his career? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's ever played in League One before, or if this is the highest level of competition he's ever played in. I don't know. I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
Um, you know, a lot of players, they get that age and they want to try something different and come to the United States, mainly because the money's better. But you never know what could happen. But I don't see him leaving Wimbledon anytime soon.
But is he a player that you would want to see in this league?
Yes, absolutely. But how
Okay.
much attention he actually draws to the league, I'm not quite sure. Because I mean, outside of if you haven't been following Wimbledon's story, or know anything about the NASL, you probably have never heard of him.
You're right on that one. Yeah, but I think he could draw a lot more attraction, like you said, who actually follows Wimbledon, who actually
Right.
follows Akinfenwa. But I think there are some supporters of him that
Right.
potentially might want to sort of see where he goes. So our last topic that we're going to talk about is the strikers and their attendance. What caught my eye, and I was thinking about this, is you have big investors, right? So you have a Brazilian group that cares about the community. That's what we know because
Right.
they're committed to the team. And you have Ronaldo as your owner,
Yeah.
old Ronaldo. You know what I mean? The Brazilian Ronaldo. And this is a guy that should be there on a week-to-week basis. Sell the hell out of the strikers. Be
Yeah.
there every day. Sell like autographs or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something. Bring people to the stadium. But what I don't understand, and I'm not hating on the strikers, but I'm just talking from an NASL fan, is you have all this commitment as an owner, and they're not bringing in the supporters. You have so many
Right.
connections. Like, what's going wrong within the community? I know Kartik said that they're so close to Miami FC, but that's the NASL's fault if they
Right.
sort of put a team close to another NASL club. There has to be a rule in place that says that you can't put a team so close to another team. No, because as we're seeing now, and I know some people would say, "Well, that starts derbies." Okay, I love that, and that's cool, but I think in this one region, right, and this is
Right.
just one example, is that I think it just doesn't work. Maybe Fort Lauderdale is not a soccer market, maybe right now. People would say it is, but we're not really seeing how great of a market it really is. I remember I saw like an international friendly at Lockhart on beIN Sports, and it was packed. You know what I mean? So I don't know where, and probably the marketing as well. A lot of clubs don't market that well, from what I see. So maybe that's where they're falling off.
In terms of professional soccer teams and even semi-professional soccer teams, I mean, Florida is a hotbed right now. I mean, they have so many teams down there professionally and semi-professionally, whether that be PDL or NPSL, NASL, um, even the MLS with Orlando.
Yeah.
Just from an outsider's perspective, looking into Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, because they're only really 30 minutes apart, that area of the country, to me, and at least I think people around here, is known for a vacation hotbed and not necessarily entertainment and sporting venues. So when
Yeah.
you go there, you go to the beach, you go to other attractions, and sports is not one of them. So if you're going to bring people to the games, it's going to be a local atmosphere, and so you need to have a heavy Hispanic slash Cuban influence on those games. And in the case of Miami, they brought in a massive Cuban player, but yet the results in terms of attendance are still not going their way. I mean, Miami has said the U.S. Open Cup match was free. They're selling tickets from $3 to $13. I mean, you can't beat to see a professional team anywhere else in the United States for $3. You just can't.
So probably that's how they're stealing their strikers supporters. They're like,
Yeah,
well, you guys are going to sit there and pay like $200 for a season ticket, for example. We have this
right,
price, or we have
right.
this individual ticket price. So Miami FC is probably playing like a spoiler in a way, and just trying to sort of ruin not their team, but just trying to take as much supporters as they could. But if you're in that area, don't you think, like, aren't there some supporters that want to support both teams because of how really local they are?
I'm sure they do, but at the same time, though, I mean, it's those two teams from an outsider's looking in. It's not a very attractive place to go see a sporting event.
Yeah.
There are other places to go see. I mean, even when the Miami Marlins, well, they were at the time Florida Marlins won the World Series in 2003, they struggled to get people into their stadium, and they're in the World Series for crying out loud. So, I mean, it's just not a very hotbed for sports in general. Although the Heat did well when the big three were there, but they still, I think, at times struggled as well.
So that means that maybe the strikers need to get like 5 stars, maybe like a Neymar, Messi,
Who
and
knows?
Suarez. Like that would
Who
be a
knows?
great front three, right? Like,
Who knows?
you think that would
But
draw people?
it could, but at the same time, I don't know what their marketing strategies are either. As you mentioned earlier, I don't know what they do to be in the community. I'm sure they do
Yeah.
some great things, but I have no idea. So
That would be like a nice video series on the channel, is if we can sort of get to each market and sort of get to know like their marketing strategy in a way. Like, that's probably too much to get to know, but I think a lot of supporters would like to know sort of the commitment and how much they put into the club. You know what I mean?
right,
Um,
right.
yeah. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Mike, any last words before we tune out here?
These next 2 weeks should be really interesting in the NASL, so make sure you tune in to whatever channel you watch the NASL on, because if New York Cosmos result doesn't go, if the New York Cosmos cannot collect 3 points, let's just say drama, drama, drama in the NASL.
And that means John's gonna be crying. No, he's not gonna be crying.
That'd be
Uh,
awesome.
yeah. But before we tune out here, Mike, are you pumped up for the Cosmos upcoming U.S. Open Cup match against NYCFC?
I'm pumped for that game, and I'm really pumped for Indy 11 Chicago Fire game as well.
Wow.
Hopefully Indy 11 can go up there and let it be known who's the best team in the region here, between Illinois and Indiana.
But do you see them winning the match?
Possibly, depends on what team that Chicago Fire puts out there. But yeah, absolutely, I think they have an excellent chance of winning.
But what's cool about this Open Cup season is that the NASL clubs are in their break mid-season. MLS
Right,
has a break because of Copa America. So both teams potentially have some resting time. And we can finally see MLS sides playing their key players. So when we see NYCFC against the Cosmos, we could see Pirlo, Lampard, Villa, mix this group potentially on the
right.
pitch against the Cosmos, something that we really didn't see last year. And if that happens, it just intensifies how much you really don't like that team and how much you want to beat them. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This is Total NASL TV. Subscribe if you are new. Like, comment below as you see fit, and we will see you next week.